So good afternoon, everyone. Today with me, I've got TJ Rogers, the CEO of Accurate Controls. And we also have Tim Smith, principal at HOK, and also the leader of security and technology at HOK. So TJ, jumping into this, what do you see as the biggest challenges in the SEC/DEC industry today?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges we have facing us in the industry is experience and longevity in the industry. Over the course of the last 10 years, a lot of companies have exited the market. As a result of that void, we have newer companies coming into the industry. And at times, and throughout the history of our industry, we've seen people come in and go out of the industry without really a commitment to it. And the problem with that is we've started doing this 32 years ago. And we had, prior to that, another 20 years of experience doing industrial automation work. So when we entered the market, we understood that it was going to take time and we were going to have to evolve. That isn't the sentiment of our industry right now. There's a lot of people that are entering the market that don't have the commitment to the industry and don't have the experience and, quite honestly, are overcommitting what they're capable of.
You know, I agree with what you're saying, TJ. I think the other part of this is that there's that lack of commitment sort of portrays itself in a lack of research and development. People are doing things the exact same way they've been doing forever and ever, and you know, because of that, it's become a bit more cutthroat and less. There's less focus on the integration side to the needs of the project and the needs of the end user. I think that's the thing that I see from my perspective. You know, people aren't willing to be part of a team. It's just a contractor mentality, and I'm not going to give you a nickel more than what's required of the contract. And that's unfortunate. We see the delivery model sort of depending on a team environment, and that's not always there because of the contraction in the industry that you mentioned.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. You know, you bring up a really good subject. You know, one of the things that we've been able to do over our time in our industry, and Tim and I, we've known each other, almost 30 years, and we worked together a long time. And I think the ideal situation for consultant integrator is collaboration, and that give and take and trying to provide the best solution for a customer is critical. And both of us have to have that mindset, and we both have that, and that's why it works really well. And I would agree with you, Tim. You know, it's really hard in a competitive situation to compete against companies that really don't care whether or not they do a good job, or whether in the end the customer's happy, and whether or not they're really approaching the project in the essence of a team and collaboration and what's best for the end result.
Yeah, one of the things that that we used to do in a design bid build environment was always our responsibility was to advocate for the client in response to the attitudes of the contractor, and it always set up that adversarial relationship. You know, fast forward to the CM at risk and design build, project delivery, and design assist, which I think we'll probably talk about more here today. All of those things give opportunities for that collaborative environment, but only if you put the thing together the right way. And I think CM at risk, it has its pros and cons. Obviously, it's a faster track delivery, and everybody likes that about it. But design build, I think, and design assist is probably the sweet spot of delivery methods in my mind right now. But design build gives you the opportunity to have that teaming environment to have everybody sort of rowing in the same direction and you know, trying to achieve the same goal from the same perspective.
Yeah, you know, and Wade, without asking the question, you know, design build. Tim, you just brought that up. Design build is our preferred design assist, design build, CM at risk is our preferred method to do a project because we have the opportunity to integrate into the design team and really collaborate. And you and I have done that on you know, on technology. As an example, a couple weeks ago, you gave me a call and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I was able to offer up, well, here's what we're researching. And we were able to come up with a very cost-effective solution to provide functionality to the owner that they asked for. And
Right.
you know, I don't think either one of us could have done that on our own.
No, but it was the situation you bring up was really interesting because it's not uncommon for you and I to be thinking about the same things at the same time differently, and then I'll call you or you'll call me, and we find out we're both faced with the same problem, and that's where that collaborative uh, relationship is really advantageous. So, you know, it's not uh, it's not common in the industry, as you mentioned. It's quite uncommon actually. So, you know, there are opportunities for that in other places in the industry, but they're few and far between for us. You know, we see this relationship that you and I have as again as somewhat unique, but you know, the goal has to be providing a solution to the end user's problem. You know, we look at things from a technological standpoint. You know, what's the challenge that the owner has brought to us? You know, we try and find a technological solution. We do a proof of concept. You guys do the R&D. We research it, and then we implement it. And those things, you know, it's very difficult to do that in a low bid, you know, competitive bid environment. But that's what the industry challenges us with, and we've been able to do it successfully.
Yeah, that's, you know, and that it makes it really difficult, especially when you're competing on those you know, on those projects or in those environments where you know, we know what the other company is going to do, and it's
Yeah.
difficult to make sure the owner and the consultants and everybody's going to be taken care of because you know what the other side's going to do, and it makes it very challenging.
You know, the idea of putting together a design assist project team that starts with let's get this competitive piece out of the way up front, then let's become a team and let's work towards a common goal. I really think that's the future. I think that's the most efficient, cost-effective way to do this, and we need to educate owners that doesn't mean, that process doesn't mean that they're going to get taken advantage of when it comes to cost. In fact, it's quite the opposite, because it gives us the opportunity to work together to put together a solution that is informed by cost from the very beginning. We're not just writing a spec and then we throw it over the fence and you guys try and put together a solution. It's that collaboration that goes on from point to point to point all through the process really makes a difference in how cost effective a solution we can design.
Absolutely, you know, and from a contractor integrator perspective, I would agree. We would much rather work in the design assist, design build environment, and I can guarantee the owners get more for a lot less in that environment with our team, and especially with the HOK team, but others. You know, recently we did a design, it was a bid spec job, and the bid was here. They couldn't afford the bid being here. So it turned into a design assist approach, and we were able to offer up more functionality, make the system much more reliable and maintainable over the course of time, and lower the cost by, I think, 27%, which is significant because of the collaboration.
Right. And that's something I think, again, we need to educate owners and users that, you know, there's a sort of this stereotypical understanding of if you're not, competing, head to head in the bloodbath of, low bid, that they're not going to get the best bang for their buck, and that's simply not the case. Um, and educating clients to that, as you and I have done together, several times, it really is the key in being able to implement that kind of a delivery model and setting up a successful project. I've done those with you. I've done those with other integrators, and that model is, like I said, is the sort of the sweet spot today in delivery methods. I think it really does make a difference.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys both. And you guys kind of touched on some of this already, but what else do you guys think can be done to address some of those challenges that you listed off before?
So from our perspective, in educating owners, I think it is critical for owners to pre-qualify companies and ask the difficult questions. What is their track record? Do they have a track record of providing the approach that we want, or do they have a track record of providing, other approaches? I've talked for 25, 30 years about the proprietary nature of security electronics. And, there's companies out there that don't really care if it's for, they are proprietary, and they don't really care whether or not they can, they divulge that information during the process. And so it's important for owners to know what they're getting when they're going into it. And that's doing their due diligence, taking trips to projects, interviewing people, and looking at the track record of those companies. And it's really sad when we get a call from clients that they just did an upgrade project a year and a half ago, and it wasn't what they wanted, and it doesn't work well, and they want to, they need us or somebody like us to come in there and replace it. And it's a travesty, quite honestly.
In uncertain times, it's more important than ever that the stability of contractors and subcontractors is fully understood. And I don't think anybody could argue that times have been more uncertain than they are right now for a very long time. I remember a job not too long ago. We had 9 subcontractors that became insolvent during the course of a project. During the course of a 2-year project, same project, 9 subcontractors on a single job. So certainly understanding whether or not somebody that starts a project is going to be able to finish it is critical. There's obviously financial metrics and things that we need to understand about everyone. But more than that, I think it's important that we also understand the attitude towards that collaborative approach that we talked about. It can be a stable contractor, but if they're going to fight you tooth and nail and it's a legal process of interpreting specifications and things like that, rather than a technical process, that's very difficult to manage, in terms of schedule and other things as we go forward. I think it's typical these days for owners to be suspicious and to be wary of the contracting marketplace because of that, and not necessarily that there's anything nefarious going on, but certainly that there's an understanding that the market has taken a lot of victims recently, as you mentioned at the start. In the last 10 years, there's been a lot of contraction, and trying to maintain that competitive marketplace has been difficult. Something else, and we talked about it a little bit in terms of the research and development, doing things differently, but facilities are changing drastically. We're not in a position anymore, the truth in sentencing and, lock everybody up and warehouse people and all that. that we went through, in the 90s is sort of over. And the focus today is much more driven by programs and treatment and medical and mental health and diversion and all of these different societal issues that we have to deal with, because most often these facilities are the catch net for the people in society that are victims of this stuff. I think that collaborative approach and that sort of outside the box thinking is necessary to address those things effectively, and not just saying, we're going to lock all the doors, we're going to do cameras everywhere and just carpet bomb a plan with those typical devices. We have to manage the population, not the facility, and we've still got to do it in the context of making sure that the staff goes home every night.
Okay, we're back in the conference room. Tim and TJ, that was a great presentation, a lot of good information, and it has generated a bunch of questions. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to fire them at you. All right. This is to both of you guys. With companies promoting cloud-based systems, services, and subscriptions, what are the security risks, and is this approach a good idea? Is it an approach that HOK endorses?
Well, Joe, I think the first response to that, everybody's got a phone and everybody's got cloud storage on that. And if you want to put your pictures up there, that's fine. I think the client base that we deal with in law enforcement, they're not comfortable not having control over things, right? So I think that managing on-site storage of video systems, managing the entire process of a security automation system in-house is something that we've advocated for a long time. In fact, we talk a lot about air gapping the security systems, even from the administrative networks in a facility. Sometimes there's good reasons, compelling reasons to converge those networks, but we always start from the perspective of an air-gapped security automation system that is closed to the outside world. And obviously that's in conflict with a cloud-based system. And it really, at this point, it isn't something that we're interested in recommending to our clients.
Yeah, and I would agree with Tim's response. Two concerns with that. From a security, obviously, perspective, pictures end up in places they shouldn't all the time. The other part of that is the cost. Subscription-based pricing approaches are just that. You don't know what you're going to really own or what you're going to have to buy down the road. And that's, that is a problem. And defining it is very difficult, knowing what you're going to get. So the security of taking that approach is a major concern.
TJ, you mentioned the project approach of or the business model, I guess, of reoccurring revenue, and that sort of lends itself to that. And it's just another method in my mind of hostage taking, and we talk about that in this marketplace with those really onerous maintenance contracts and things. I think it just puts you in a more vulnerable position as a client.
Great.
Okay, great. Next question is again for both gentlemen. Please talk about some ways owners' concerns regarding mental and MMH issues can be addressed using security automation system. And I guess the first thing I would ask is, can you explain what MMH is?
Well, medical mental health has kind of become a buzzword in the industry, I guess, and we talked about that a little bit in the presentation, Joe, that we've gone away from the warehousing of people in just a purely punitive environment. Now we're looking at treatment facilities and trying to address reintegrating offenders back into society, and doing that with giving them some kind of a chance to succeed when they get back there. And that means we have, drug treatment programs and medical, mental health programs. And, it takes a different environment to do that. There's not a sort of an institutional, iron bars and that sort of an environment isn't conducive to those programs. So we build facilities differently to address those things. And, we the evidence-based outcomes and those kind of things to understand what works and what doesn't. One of the things TJ and I have been talking about is the color of light, the lighting temperature in an environment, and how do you change that over the course of a day so that it's, softer and kind of brings people down in the evening, but it's up and a higher temperature light during the day when you want them to be active. Those kind of things are becoming real easy for us to do, and they're very important when it comes to managing the environment for the best outcome for the offenders.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Joe, this is the thing that the Pauly Jail Steel Style Active Controls, the team does. It's concept. Owners want to be able to change the environment from a lighting perspective. However, the budget cost isn't going to change. So we have to now reduce the budget to make this functionality work. And that's, that's what we're able to do. So in the mental health industry, those things are being requested in every county jail now. So we can bring that functionality, that's just one example of the functionality we have at our disposal that we can make very cost effective. And again, that's something we bring to the market.
Okay, we have another great question, once again for both gentlemen. In terms of bringing new technologies, especially COVID-related technologies, to the market, what are some ways to advance them in a market that is subject to low bids?
Tim, do you want to address that first?
I'll take the first swing at that. So we talked a little bit about the idea of having touchless things in the marketplace, and you and I have been sort of using each other as a sounding board for developing that stuff and helping to bring it to the marketplace. In terms of COVID, I think there are things that we're doing to manage the threat, let's say, of that. TJ, I know we talked about temperature sensing and using toms and dust control and all those things. Those are for the most part, those are things that we've been able to do in the past. We're using thermal cameras and things of that nature that have been around for a while, but maybe we're using them in a different way to address those new threats. But as you said a minute ago, we haven't been given more budget to do that. So we've got to make these things work efficiently, and we've got to do it in the context of existing budgets. And I think, the way you and I approach this, and as we said during we start out with a need from a client. We develop a solution that we think might work. We do a proof of concept. You guys are doing research and development, which again, being in that design assist role is critical to give you the opportunity to do those things. And then, we implement it and we bring it to the market. And there's a couple of people in the country, a couple of integrators in the country that are capable of doing that. And obviously you're one of them. So, we try and keep that stuff in the forefront, and we keep talking to owners about it and keep educating them that, there are ways to address this stuff. We don't have to break the bank to do it. And if you give us the opportunity to build a delivery model that will help us do that, we can be successful at it.
Yeah, I think that's right on the head with regard to that. In the right delivery model, it works really well. The bid environment, it typically doesn't work well. You never know what you're going to get, and a lot of times in the bid environment, somebody will miss the intent of what has been designed and just not get it implemented, and it's not successful. The right environment creates the collaboration, creates the method to implement correctly and meet the owner's desires. And that's, design assist approach helps deliver it.